All right, I got a question. This is an inflammatory type of consideration, but we've had them before. We're not afraid to have those discussions because they need to be talked about so that we can get to the bottom or top, whichever you prefer, of the issues in between men and women, especially with a focus on child support system as it stands today. Forgive me, it is 87 degrees outside, so I have to turn on the AC, so you'll hear that in the background, and hopefully I can articulate and speak loud enough so that you can understand me. Whew, it is hot today. It is hot. This is my first time outside. I've been at work for 10 hours, so shock to the senses, but I digress. So I guess the focus of this discussion is as to whether or not men are discriminated against legally because of their gender. What do you mean by that? Well, we know that predominantly states will side with the woman when it comes to child support, usually and disproportionately, men will bear the brunt of the resulting birth of a child out of wedlock. Would you argue against that? I think we all agree on that. Now, this is said to be because once the father acknowledges paternity, then it becomes his responsibility to support the child financially. And so what they are going to do, or what the state does, is hold that obligation against the father via garnishments of the father's payroll or payments, will hold the father's driver's license and permits or what have you as ransom, basically, so that if he does not pay, then he will lose his right to drive. Will also intercept his taxes, will collect R&D fees, and a whole host of other sanctions will be levied against the father. Now, let's consider what obligations are leveled against the mother in the same scenario, a child born out of wedlock. And let's further consider that the child was born from a consensual relationship that, let's say, did not work out for whatever reason. Whosever fault it was is not fatal, not important to this consideration. But the fact is that the relationship did not work out. And so, nonetheless, the baby is born. We know who the father is. The father is willing to take on that responsibility and or is willing to be acknowledged as the father. And we know who the mother is. So now let's consider the penalties that are leveled against the mother as the other party, as pertains to the birth of the child. Let's see. Is there a garnishment of her wages? No. Is there a weekly or bi-weekly deduction withdrawn from her payroll check or her employment compensation checks? No. Is there an IRS tax interception every year or whatever leveled against her? No. In fact, there aren't any penalties for the mother assessed against the mother having to do with the support or child support of the child or child support. Now, we'll say, or you'll say that, well, the baby is living with her, and so she's supporting the child by the child living with her. Okay, so I'll question, what is her obligation, and is that obligation imposed by the state? Meaning, no, mother, the father has to pay $448, per paycheck, or per month, or more, probably. And we're mandating that because we deem that that's what his portion requires in the maintenance and support of that child. The state is saying this is the amount due and owing as the father of this child, because we have done the research, we have looked into what it takes, and we find this inadequate number, and you will pay this. If you do not pay this, you are breaking the law, and we are coming for you and your property and your rights. We are coming for you, and if need be, we will incarcerate you. We will imprison you. We will put a felony X on your back, which will affect your reputation and your employability, employability. Oh, yes. But my question again is there any such penalties leveled against the mother? Now, since we know that there are not, let's ask ourselves a question. Does that seem fair? And if you don't like the term fair, I put it out there for a reason, because we know the saying is life is not fair. This ain't about fair. This is what I hear, mothers will say. It ain't about being fair. It's about the needs of the child. It's about you as a father taking care of your responsibilities. I hear it all the time. I know exactly what it is. So if you don't like fair, once again, let's use equitable. Equity. Let's talk about beneficial rights. You see, I'm the father. I'm the father of the child. In other words, the child does not exist without me. It is not, you did not have this child through immaculate conception. like the Virgin Mary did allegedly. Hey, you didn't do that. That did not happen that way. It took me and it took you. And so, since we are in a consensual, or we're in a consensual relations in order to bring about the birthing of this child, consensual, like contractual consensual, meaning I couldn't have done it if you did not find value, consider what we're about to do. You know, what are the three parts of a contract? It's offer. There's an offer. Hey girl, you know what time it is, right? So I'm offering me, myself, my body parts, my fluids, right? I'm offering that to you. That's an offer. Did you accept? Well, since it's consensual, you didn't say I raped you, you didn't say, we did anything, you know. So that means you accepted the offer, right? And there's value exchanged, right? And you had consideration, meaning I didn't bamboozle you into having sex. I didn't trick you into having sex. I didn't sell you something that I didn't produce. Right? All right. So the contract is fulfilled. That's what it is. The contract is fulfilled. It is accepted. And so you're no better than I am as pertains to a contract. You're no better than I am. There has to be equality. It has to be equitable. It has to be equality in a contract. Otherwise, it's considered it's considered to maybe be an adhesion contract, or unconscionable. If somebody can't perform the terms of the contract, that's unconscionability. Therefore, the contract is void, ab initio, like from the beginning. It doesn't even exist. Or if there is adhesions in the contract, hidden clauses and what have you, right? You never disclosed all of this, like I didn't, like, I don't want to be gross or anything. Like you didn't disclose to me that you were able to get me pregnant. Well, what do you mean? Like, how are you out here having sex if you didn't know that when a guy has unprotected sex with a girl and you knew it was unprotected? Don't sit there and tell me that you didn't know that the sex we were having is unprotected. Don't even try it. Don't even, I know there's extenuating circumstances. I know there's cases where, you know what I'm talking about. I ain't got to get all crass with you. Right? So we know there's those type of situations, but that wasn't what this was. Don't play. All right? So therefore, we both took the risk. We both considered the risk. Both of us did. Don't try to act like you didn't. And so now, behold, 10 months later, Shorty is here. Everything was good for a minute. Everybody was happy. And then I stepped on your toe. I did something you didn't like. And all hell broke loose. And now we in child support court. And so you know how it goes. But the point is that why are your rights, as a female, as a woman, protected? And why aren't you held to the same standards that everybody else is held to in this party, in this arrangement, this contract, this consensual production? How is that equitable? If a piece of me went into the matrix of the womb or what have you, you had some parts that were already in you, and I introduced some parts of me, very live parts, billions of parts of me. My DNA, baby. 23 chromosomes from you and 23 chromosomes from me. That sounds like equity. That sounds pretty equal to me. So, where is the equity then? I know, I've heard the argument, I carried the baby for 10 months, etc., etc. I had to birth the baby, I had to do all of that. Okay, so now, because of your biography, biology, or biological makeup that was gifted to you from the Creator, let's say, whether God or whomever. So now, when it comes to the law, you are better than I am. You are afforded more than I am. And that does not, to me, sound like equal protection of the laws. I know I'm making a legal argument. I understand. I get it. But I'm putting it out there so that we can discuss it, so that we can consider it. All right? So, and talk about it. In the eyes of the law, then, you are giving preferential treatment because of your sex, because of your gender, because of your biological makeup. And as far as I know, that would be a bit unconstitutional. Because, as you know, everywhere around right now, you don't discriminate gender, race, you know what I'm saying? Sexuality, whatever. You don't discriminate. We don't do any of that anymore, do we? Except when it comes to the man and child support. You see, because I inseminated you. I used my body parts. It was in a consensual contractual agreement. We both agreed to it, and we both committed to it. And we followed through. Yes, we did. We followed through. And that child is here because of the both of us. Equally. And nature evidences how equal it is, because it's 23 chromosomes from you as a lady, as a woman, and 23 chromosomes from me. So that, my people, is known as inequality. Inequality. And as a result, men are jailed, lose their privileges to drive, get their vehicles towed away because they drive anyways, because they're like, man, what am I going to do? Lose their passport privileges. They can't travel. They can't do nothing. All of that stuff gets taken away. And I hear some say, well, just pay your child support then. Wait a minute. Back it up. Back it up. Because we got a question as to whether these laws and the application of child support and the penalties that are leveled against the man are just or justified. Somebody has to bring up that question, because right now it's not making any sense. We appreciate that a woman carries. We know that there's a lot of work to carry through, but that is what God did to you. That is not what we did to you. We simply used what God gave us in tandem with what God gave you as equal individuals. And when you mix those two, sometimes a birth happens, a baby is born. We all know that, you know that, and we know that. When do we start penalizing people for their natural functionalities? So what would be the answer in closing? What would be the answer then? What would be the answer? What would be the answer, right? I'm glad you asked. So let me just read off these questions that I wrote down earlier today. Some of them are fantastic, drastic, or whatever. Number one, does the woman's rights to privacy, the abortion issue, remember Roe v. Wade? Do those privacy rights consider or those rights protected, those privacy rights that are protected by the state, by the government, whatever, by the Constitution, or whatever. Do those rights consider man's investment? Again, those 23 chromosomes. That came from me. I'm not trying to compare the effort, the labor. I'm not trying to compare with the woman. We can't compare. We're not the same. And furthermore, I didn't make you that way. Men did not make you how you are. Men did not make you with a period. Men did not make you have ovaries and carry babies for 9 and 10 months. So why are we being penalized for it? Is that just? Is that right? We didn't do it to you. You might think we did it to you, but we didn't do it to you. So why is your contribution worth so much more than our contribution? Why do we compare ourselves among ourselves when we are not even, we are different sexes altogether? We're a different gender. Are we any less important just because we have different genders than you? Better watch out now, because you know what's going on in today's world when there's gender discrimination. Because that's what this is. It ain't us that made y'all that way. All right, number 2. Was the consensual nature of intercourse a commercially binding contract? Do you know what the definition of of commerce is? Or do you know another term for commercial? It's intercourse. Isn't that what a man and a woman have? Intercourse? And then a product comes forth? Yeah, just like a commercial transaction. So the question, was the consensual? The two parties consent through the contract to exchange or have intercourse in commerce, just like a man and a woman exchange and have intercourse in sexual relations to produce a product, a child. Okay, number 3. I'm gonna save number 3 because it's a bit drastic, but it's something I thought about. I'm gonna skip to number 4. I'll do number 3 another time. If the woman's penalty for out of wedlock birth is carrying the baby for 10 months, is the man's financial obligation for 18 plus years equitable? Right? Because you're going to say, or the ladies might say, well, shoot, all you had to do was, inseminate me, or inseminate, right? That's all you had to do. There wasn't no work involved in that. That ain't nothing. Shoot, I got to carry this baby for 10 freaking months. And then birth, and then blah, 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 right? And breastfeed and all that kind of stuff, right? So, if we're going to compare, if I don't want to compare, I'd rather work together, right? But if we're going to compare, consider that the man will be paying child support for 18 plus years. If the child goes to college, I think there's rules that say that he can pay into the 20s. Plus, if y'all were married, he got to pay you maintenance and all that. And for 18 plus years. See, you see what I'm saying? So it don't even pay for us to compare, because it really does not compare. One is, your biological, your makeup that you inherited from the Creator. The other is a financial obligation which causes me or a man to be enslaved for X amount of years of his life. I said enslaved because that is exactly what it is. We trade our labor and our energy for money or for something. Meaning we got to burn the calories. We got to risk getting our fingers cut off working with metal and all kinds of stuff. And, some people are military, or some people fly airplanes. You can crash, you can die. But this is what you have signed up to do in order to make the money so that the government and the child support can come and tap that. So it is slavery, no matter which way you want to look at it. Number 5. Is man discriminated against by current law because of his natural reproductive design? Oh, you ain't did nothing. You just, you know what I mean? God didn't make y'all like he made, you know, it made us. You know, y'all just got to inseminate and get up and leave. Y'all ain't got no obligation, no nothing. I hate you. Basically, that's how men be getting treated. Like, we hate you because you got it easy because God made you that way. Well, then why aren't you complaining to God? Don't complain to me. I did not make myself this way. You see what I'm saying? So the question, is man discriminated against in current law because of his natural reproductive design? Just asking. Number 6. Isn't the child support laws which discriminate by sex and gender? And secondly, if it is, isn't that discrimination, or is that discrimination constitutional in accordance with the intent of the founding fathers? You know, so. And lastly, number 7, did the founding fathers intend to create U.S. laws which empower states to discriminate against fathers that are not married to impregnated women? Surely not, but we're going to find out. And so I just wanted to put this out there. I guess this will go into the archives of Mandemic over at the Facebook page. For these and other discussions, please come on over there and support. Ladies, even if, I get it, it's a sensitive topic. You know, we want y'all to be queens. You know, most of us do. We don't got no problem with that. But we're just wanting to appeal to you rationally. Think about it. You know, these courts and these judges and these agencies, they are literally stripping men that are working hard out here. We ain't all bad. You see what I'm saying? You got some knuckleheads out here, but we can get them in line. We can get them in line, but y'all got to help us. Because the system don't care about us. The system is not human. There's humans that work as slaves themselves to the system. But remember, the system has no emotions and no feelings. It just goes autonomously and mechanically in accordance with whatever the law says. And it doesn't reach into our individual lives and say, well, you know, his dad was never there for him and never taught him how to be a man. So this young man is learning every day how to be a man, and he's struggling through it, and he doesn't have anybody to help him figure it out. You know, he had a mom, only a mom. He grew up with a mom, and mom did the best she could, but it was never enough to produce a gainfully employed and productive young man. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of us are learning 35, 40, we're just coming to some form of maturity at that point in time. Because some of us didn't know any better. There was nobody to teach us that. And so you are looking at the product of society, of men, you know, whose society, especially if they look like me, whose society has preyed on. The prison system, the prison industrial complex has preyed on us. That's what you're dealing with, ladies. I need y'all to understand that. When you say all men are bad, or y'all some bums, or my baby daddy this and that, have you bothered to consider his upbringing? Who teaches him? Who taught him? Because I didn't have anybody to teach me. I'm learning right now hard knocks. And I'm 47. I'm still learning. And my children are the ones that are really teaching me the most, because ain't nobody stepped up to the plate. You see? So all I'm saying is, ladies, sometimes it ain't all you think it is. And until we again start having these discussions, this should not be men against women, battle of the sexes. This should be a real heart-to-heart conversation and getting an understanding. And I bet you, if ladies, if y'all will just work with us and get the system out of our business, right? If we feel protected and we ain't threatened by the system, it's one thing, you know, with race issues, you know, they're not as bad, but there's still some, I guess there's, you know, some issues, some police maybe, and some officials, and, you know, I don't know. I don't deal with it. But, you know, not much, not to my knowledge. But the point is we need y'all, just like y'all need us. Y'all want productive men, y'all want good men. We got to start protecting each other then. That's the way we're going to fix this issue, not by further fighting with each other. You going to hand us over to the system? Who are you going to have left? You know, this is a conditioning. They were doing this to us in slavery. Using the woman, they hand us over, you know, and oppress the man and glorify the woman or put her in a different position or whatever. You know, so this is culture. This is cultured in us. So we're going to have to break this for the sake of your children, for the sake of your children's children. Or they ain't going to fix it. Why would they fix it if it continues to work? All right, so with that being said, I know this is longer. It's going to be longer on these kind of conversations because these are very difficult conversations to have, but we must have them, y'all. And I need y'all to start sounding off, okay? If this one strikes home, please give a thumbs up, and also please leave a comment. You ain't got to tell your business, your private business, if you don't want to, but sound off on this. These are important topics, y'all. These little children that you say that you love are suffering because daddy ain't there or because mom and daddy can't get together. They can't work together amicably. So who's going to be their role models? You want to be I mean, going to church ain't going to cut it. I was in church 40-something years of my life. My mom was a pastor. And I still struggled as a young man trying to figure this thing out. Church ain't going to fix this, man. We got to be accountable as men and women and start doing what is right because it's right. Not doing stuff out of to be spiteful or vindictive, and then the children suffer, and then relationships are divided. We gotta stop this stuff, man. It's time to stop. So this is what Mandemic is coming up against. Please get behind us and support us over at the Facebook page, Mandemic, M-A-N, like pandemic, but Mandemic. I say it Mandemic, kind of make it cool, Mandemic. But anyways, get on over there, join the group. It's a Facebook group, Mandemic, and then I'll let you in, whatever, because we don't want all the trolls and all that kind of stuff. So you got to be let in. But we need your help. We need your opinions, your comments, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, it's time to make this happen. We're making moves. Move with us. All right, it's very important for the future and for now. Peace.